The NFL is also a fascinating discussion. It feels like college sports is blending more and more with pro sports and the NFL. And it was cut day in the NFL earlier this week. And a handful of BYU football players, former BYU players, were cut, unfortunately. Caleb Hayes, former cornerback, cut by the Chicago Bears. Caleb Etienne, Cincinnati Bengals, which is a bummer. I thought Caleb was going to have a chance to make that team. Keenan Slovis, he showed well with the Texans. He had a touchdown pass, but he gets cut, former BYU quarterback. And then former BYU wide receiver Darius Lassiter, cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Darius, I feel for him. Because I remember last December in San Antonio is on the heels of the Diego Pavia JUCO ruling and all that stuff, the uncertainty with all that. It was just kind of felt like JUCO guys could run it back. I think Darius wanted to come back. That was an option. And then it prevented him from going through the all-star circuit for getting ready for the NFL and just kind of put him behind the eight ball a little bit. It's unfortunate because Lassiter was pretty good for BYU last year. I still think BYU's wide receivers this year are going to be fine, but it would have been nice to have just another proven guy, him and Chase, and then you go to Parker Kingston, Tiger Bachmeier. Just suddenly it feels even more deep, even more depth. But JoJo Phillips is ready to take a spotlight role, and he could probably take that spot with Lassiter. But hopefully Lassiter and all those guys that got cut, hopefully they can have some practice squad spots or somewhere they can land with an NFL team. But that does leave BYU with 14 guys who made 53-man rosters. And those players include Tyler Allgeier, Atlanta Falcons running back, already heading into his fourth season. All reliable. And get this, he has never fumbled since entering the NFL. Impressive stuff from Tyler Allgeier. Kyle Van Noy still holding it down. He's been in the league since 2014. Feels like I see him a lot in the media these days. Kyle Van Noy, a good one for the Ravens. Brady Christensen holding it down as a Carolina Panthers guard. Great to see Brady sticking in the league. Zane Anderson with the Green Bay Packers. He had some nice moments last season with Green Bay. Curious to see what Zane does, but incredible athlete is Zane Anderson, and that's materialized in the NFL in Green Bay. Chris Brooks, quietly, carving out a career in the NFL. One of three running backs on the Packers' 53-man roster. Brooks, I thought, was so underutilized at BYU in his one season. Blake Freeland, unfortunately, on injury reserve after suffering a fractured leg on August 16th at a preseason game against the Packers. So Blake's on the IR. Kingsley Suamataia with the Chiefs. He's heading into year 2 in KC. And then the man, Puka Nacua, LA Rams superstar. This wide receiver unit in LA is going to be a lot of fun. You got Puka, Devontae Adams, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, Xavier Smith. You got a rookie in there. Puka is going to be even bigger star. Cannot wait to see the growth of Puka in his NFL career. Zach Wilson holding it down with the Miami Dolphins. Got to think he's going to probably be that backup quarterback over Quinn Ewers. I thought Zach showed well in the preseason. Quinn Ewers had some moments too where, there was feelings maybe in the Dolphins fan base that Ewers was going to take over for Zach, but excited for Zach Wilson in Miami. I think that's going to be a good fit for him. Hey, Tyler Batty making the 53-man roster. He is going to miss at least the first 4 games due to being on the injury reserve, but you were hearing reports that, he's the guy having the pregame speech. Batty already having an influence in that locker room in Minnesota, and that's the value of BYU guys in the NFL. Kyrus Tonga, New England Patriots. Kyrus going into now year 5 in the National Football League, former seventh round draft pick Kyrus. Taysom Hill, he's going to start the season on the PUP list, physically unable to perform list. First 4 games guaranteed out with the Saints. Kellen Moore, former Boise State great. He is the new head coach down in New Orleans, so hopefully Taysom can get fully recovered. He just recently had a birthday. Taysom Hill, hopefully speedy recovery for him. And then Fred Warner. He's all-pro Fred. What else can you say? Fred Warner's the man. Also, not pictured here on the YouTube feed, Jakob Robinson also made the San Francisco 49ers, but injury reserve. He broke his forearm in the last preseason game for the Niners. But that's your BYU players in the NFL. 14 guys in total for the Cougars in the National Football League. And I think there's some players on this 2025 squad that we will see eventually in the National Football League and maybe drafted as well. But a nice collection of guys. You know, a few years ago, you had potentially 2 starting quarterbacks with Zach and Taysom. You don't have that pop with this group right now because Zach's a backup, Taysom's banged up, and then, you know, maybe some guys are a little bit older. Allgeier's, you know, splitting time in that backfield, but still a nice core of groups. But Fred Warner and Puka are superstars that are going to be a lot of fun to watch this season for former Cougs in the National Football League. Let's take our final break. On the other side, you'll get to know the foe, Portland State Vikings. I caught up with Mike Lund, Portland State Associate AD and their communications director, to get to know the Vikings next here on Cougar Tracks.